HR Famous is brought to you by HRU Tech, a contingent staffing firm specializing in engineering, IT, and technically related placements across multiple industries. If you're looking for technical talent or searching for a career, look no further than HRU Tech. Find them online at hrutech.com and call them today. HR Famous is also brought to you by Kinetics, the leading RPO recruiting firm for growth companies, named by CHRO Today as the top midsize RPO provider. Kinetics uses its unique skill-based recruiter model to deliver on RPO engagements, allowing them to customize scope to meet your unique hiring needs. If you have recruiting challenges and want to consider RPO as a solution, give Kinetics a call. Find them online at kineticshr.com. Hey, what's up, everybody? Chris Dunn. HR Famous is the podcast. I almost said another podcast, Tim Sackett, because I've got another one who, by the way, somewhere in the vaults, we've mentioned this before, just has you dropping so many F-bombs that I couldn't run it on Best Hire Ever. Tim, how are you? That's Tim Sackett. I'm bringing in Jessica Lee's also with us here on HR Famous. Tim, how are you?
I'm doing great. At some point, we're going to have to do like a paywall where we'll do the lost episode where someone will have to pay to listen to that, right? Like we have to, like there's so much, people clamoring. I'm getting messages nonstop. Like, what did you say?
Of course. Of course.
So, I'm doing great, Katie.
Yeah. So good. JLee, how are you? I've got a question for you. First of all, tell me how you're doing. Tell me what's going on late spring, early summer for you. And then I'm going to hit you with a quick question.
I'm excellent. By the way, we always say this, we should just start recording as soon as we hop on with each other, and then we should save the pre-show stuff. That's what should be behind the paywall. It's the pre-show conversation. That's the best stuff.
Worth a lot of money, JLee, for sure.
That is a really good
At least $5.
Hey, JLee, I've got a son who's going to do a co-op internship thing for Mercedes this fall. They're just launching their first EV vehicle. You're going to love it, JLee. It's built in the plant in Alabama. It's got a full electronic dash with like 3 different elements to it. They just took like what Elon Musk does and says, really, you just have a laptop screen like attached to the dashboard. Here's what you need. Anyway, that's what they're doing. So that begs the question, JLee, and I'll go to Tim. What's the first EV vehicle that you think your family is going to buy?
So I know what it is, but before I tell you, there was a gas shortage on the East Coast recently.
Yeah.
Which talk about they paid the ransom in that situation. But my son, who's all of 4, he said, because we were trying to go out of town, he said, why don't we have an electric car? Because we were like, we need gas to get out of town. And he said, why don't we have an electric car? He's 4. And I'm like, you don't know what to say to a 4-year-old. And the response was, we will have an electric car because his father wants to have a Tesla Model Y. That's the next car he's getting.
Which one's the
compact
Y?
SUV.
Okay.
Yeah.
The one that looks like a Lexus.
Wings.
Do they come up like wings still?
I don't know if that one has the wings. All I know is it's the compact SUV. That's what Bobby J wants. So I'm not into it.
Tim, I'll look it up. It feels like that's the X, and that's the one that like you had the wing doors, but it kind of looked like a Pontiac Aztec. Beyond that.
It does look like a Pontiac Aztec. I know exactly what the Aztecs are.
It was ugly. Like you got to be like chasing status so much to buy basically an EV Aztec, which I've got multiple blog posts on just making fun of. All right. So
but by the way, my brother-in-law has the Tesla X, and they have a family of 5. It only has 4 seats. Like really, it's so dumb. It's the dumbest thing ever.
You learn who the favorite is, like right away, or at least the top 2 kids.
Their youngest is like a little girl compared, they had 2 and then they adopted a very young girl, and they can just throw her like in the back. I guess I don't know. Like it seems like why would you ever buy that vehicle? But it is what it is. Katie, mine is the Hummer EV Edition 1. Yeah. Even though it's Edition 1, I won't be able to buy it because it sold out right away. I might have to buy it used, but it's the coolest looking truck ever.
Yeah. Tell me more. Like, what's the range of it? Let's get into the details, Tim.
The range might be like 13 miles.
Exactly.
I don't know. But it has like a retractable like top, and it has like a removable top. It has like the pickup vibe. So it can basically be open air. What's the pickup that they have? Like you see all these guys in the beach have, where it seems like they have like the front windshield and the side, but then it's all kind of open. You can kind of make that happen. That also does the crab walk thing where all four wheels will turn sideways and like go. So you can, I like, you'll never need that for anything, but I'm like, oh, this is awesome. I want to do that.
I'm not a huge car person. I had to for some business reasons. I needed to get a car at the end of last year, and I thought about going Tesla, but I didn't have a lot of time. I couldn't pull it together. So I ended up buying like kind of what I always do. Tim's like going to laugh at me. I bought a like 4Runner with like 15,000 miles on it, and away we go. And I'm such a creature of habit, JLee. You can comment on this, and I'll defend myself, that I'll probably wait till Toyota is out with their series of EVs. By the way, so JLee, first of all, comment on that, and then I'll give you some news about Toyota and EVs.
I'm not surprised that you'll wait for it. And I think that's okay. I actually support you in that, because that is your dedication to a brand as opposed to just hopping on to the next big thing. You're not trying to be like my bougie family to get a Tesla. You are committed to Toyota, and you will get the EV that they make. So I applaud you, sir.
God, are we recording? We're recording, right? Because I'm clipping that out, and high praise for KD from JLee. Hey, JLee, the news on Toyota and EVs, and then we'll get to human capital related issues, although this is a human capital kind of related issue. Toyota just bought Lyft, their self-driving technology stack. They just bought it from Lyft for what I thought was a song, JLee. I thought it was like $500 million to obviously like accelerate what they could do in the self-driving realm, probably across the next 10 or 20 years, just to get a little bit of a jump start. So I'm hopeful that Toyota, when I get this 4Runner, JLee, I'm hopeful that not only will I be more efficient and not be subject to the gas shortages that are ravaging the DC area and causing your young son concern, but I'll just go straight to self-driving.
Hey, by the way, I think about 70% of my Lyft rides are probably in a Prius. So it's a good buy from Toyota, because they're probably thinking like, hey, Lyft probably figured this out because they probably designed it for a Prius.
Keep the whole like Lyft Uber thing in mind. We're going to come back to that in just a second. Hey, first topic, HR Famous, Tim Sackett, Jessica Lee, I'm Chris Dunn. I want to talk, and I'm kind of hedging my words here because there's a word I want to say, but I'm not going to say it. Tim, what did you tell me I should call this?
Clickbait.
We'll talk about CEO and leadership clickbait. If you're an HR person, you've all seen, Jessica, and you probably don't see this, it's a great company you're with. I bet you've seen it in your career where a leader will go on a big CC fest with an article that he or she has found. That article generally comes from it generally comes one of two ways, right? It's either going to come from like the Harvard Business School, right? Because if I send Tim that, it says something about me.
Yeah.
That look at me.
You read HBR?
I've had a subscription
only
for the last
only
5
the
or 6
free
years.
ones. Yeah.
Or
The first 5 free.
I get through 100 words, and it's funny, I can't get the rest of the article. But JLee, it either comes from Harvard Business Review or it comes from Inc.com or something like that. So I wonder,
CNBC, mass media.
Yeah. So actually, thank you, Tim. That's a good segue. So I pulled one from CNBC. They have a series called Make It.
Yes.
Right? Which is just full of swagger from an entrepreneurial, like startup perspective. And the title of it, JLee, is A Self-Made Millionaire and CEO Shares 5 Quick Tests he always uses during job interviews to decide whether to hire. This is a guy named Robert Reffkin, founder and CEO of, I think, Compass That's how I would pronounce it. I don't know what they do. I'll look it up. It doesn't matter. You know why it doesn't matter? Because Robert would be successful in any business because he has the keys to hiring, and he's going to transfer it to his team, JLee and Tim, but also to all of his hiring managers. Tim, did you want to come in? Okay.
Yeah. Compass is a Zillow knockoff, so they can't even be a good real estate, kind of site.
Jeez, shots fired. All right, JLee, here are the self-made millionaires and CEO, his 5 quick tests. Here's what he likes to do. He likes to do, I'm going to read all 5, and then I'm going to come back to the first one, JLee. The good person test. Let's get back into that one. The energy test. JLee, I'd love it if you sat up straight and made eye contact and gave me some affirmative nods while I'm reading this list. Another offer test, the rationalization test, and the principles test. We're not going to have time to talk about all these, JLee. The good person test, what he likes to do in the interview. This is hard hitting. Is this a good person? If you have to take a long pause and struggle, this is him writing it, to answer the question, then they shouldn't be on your team if a candidate has to do that, JLee. Lots of people think goodness doesn't matter at work, and some even think it's a liability. Not me, Robert Reffkin. JLee, go. Feels good, doesn't it? Feels scientifically validated.
Reffkin. He looks and sounds like a lovely person, and I'm sure he's made some good hires over the years. But, sir, some of these things, you're just going to keep hiring people like you, and that's where I have issue and beef with it. Am I going to like them? Are they like me? Are we going to vibe together? Sometimes that's not what's best for you.
Tim, he actually said, if I'm interviewing you and I have to take a long pause because I want to give you the right answer, maybe I struggle a little bit. Mm-hmm. He's equating that to the good person. Here's another thing he says. I always want to know. Tim, I always want to know. Yeah. Do they live by the golden rule? Is their heart in the right place? Are they kind? Do they genuinely care about others? Do they want to give back? By the way, let's do this. Golden rule, and are they kind? He's saying I don't hire them if they struggle to answer my question initially. Go ahead, Tim. I queued you up. Run with that.
Come on. What if he's a piece of shit? That's what I want to know, right? If you're saying hey, is this person kind or whatever, nice or gold, whatever the stupid things are that he comes up with, a good person. If you're not a good person, what's your judge of that then, right? It sounds like he's trying to hire a grandmother. Is that what he wants to hire? Because I don't know. Are we sure, Katie, that we actually want everybody to live by the golden rule and be good people that work for us? Maybe we want some hard hitters, right? Maybe we want some people that need to get their hands dirty, right? I don't know. But this just seems I don't know if he's creating a cupcake factory or what Compass actually is trying to do. I mean, clearly they're not selling a lot of homes because Zillow's handing it to them. But, whatever.
Okay, I'll give you one more, and then we'll talk broadly about clickbait being thrown around your company from a leadership perspective.
Can we just call it leadership porn already?
It's leadership porn. It absolutely is. It's that's what it is, for sure.
I'm going to buy that URL. That might be the next Gawker media site is leadership porn. And it's just stupid articles like this.
So here's the other one. There's 5 of them. The principles test. How well does a potential hire embody each of my principles? And here's what he writes. This is interesting. Okay. The idea of culture fit can be a code word for discrimination. If you ask people to prioritize culture without defining the culture, there's a risk that they will gravitate towards people like them. It's another trick our minds play on us. By the way, kids, I'll share this in the show notes. I can't make this up. So that's a decent paragraph, but he just said, how well, JLee, does a potential hire embody each of my principles? It's mind-boggling.
It is mind-boggling. My principles, yet he's talking about, if you've not defined your culture, you're just going to keep hiring people like yourself, which is exactly what he's trying to do. Yeah. It's crazy.
It's tough. I'm sure somebody Ghost wrote this for him.
For sure.
He should take a look. If that's an internal PR person or a partner, he should take a look at it. Tim, what's your best story or best example about leadership clickbait, or as you like to call it, leadership porn?
Yeah.
Like, what's your best story about this going around the company? Got any come to mind?
No, I mean, yeah, no, the one that comes to mind is when they did, what was the Who Moved My Cheese thing, right? Not just the book, but remember, like, every article seemed to mention it. And there was like, and the book itself was like 17 pages or some stupid thing. But like, then every parable and every kind of leadership article that would come out, like, and then you'd have the CEO like pass this down to their direct reports, and then it would pass down, and everybody had to make comments, pull out quotes, and they try to act like, they're living this document that was like passed around. I mean, the greatest cultural one is the manifesto, right? And Jerry Maguire. So that, that's like the classic beginning of all of this. Hey, Katie, one of the ones you put on there was another offer test, which is like, so let me just get this straight. So I'm interviewing someone to determine, do I want to hire them? And what I'm supposed to do is say, if this person came to me tomorrow and said they had another great offer, would I fight for them to keep them? You haven't even hired them yet, moron. Like, how can you have that as a part of a selection process?
Maybe, Tim and JLee, you could actually wait to see if they could deliver before you started evaluating whether you would like provide an effective counteroffer. JLee, anything to add to this? I'll close this up after you give us some comments.
Now I'm starting to feel sorry for Mr. Reffkin, because I think you're right. He probably didn't write this. Some PR person or agency said, we're going to get some thought leadership pieces out there for you. We want to elevate your profile. And here we are in our little podcast, just,
decimating
down on the guy. I was going to say shitting on him. Now I'm cursing. I don't know what happened after
right?
On like recent episodes. We're talking about cursing.
By the way,
on him, and the poor guy, he probably would laugh at this.
Hey, Jay, by the way, so I'll give you this right now, because now we know, like, we're just talking out of our asses. So Columbia undergrad, Columbia business MBA, White House fellow, chief of staff to the president and COO of Goldman Sachs before he started his own company. So clearly this dude knows what he's talking about.
Hey,
and is smart, but like, here's what it is.
Hey, and by the way, I think we all like kind of realize to both, since we're cussing, I'll cuss. You both cuss. Since we're talking out of our ass, like, and just having fun with this. This is not necessarily a problem for Robert, because Robert has performed and he's done this thing. The problem with leadership porn and leadership clickbait is when you put it down to the masses that don't have your skills and your track record. I do, like, we've got like the boss training series at Kinetics. And when we do interview skills training, first thing we do, JLee, we say, tell me what your pet question is. We go around the room and then we just try and like decimate them, right? We have fun with it. And if somebody said, I like to ask questions about whether somebody's a good person or not. What can you tell me, Tim, that tells me that you're a good person? Like, I would just like go after that.
I know. I like puppies.
Yeah.
I'm into puppies.
Hey, this is William Tincup, and you should know about the You Should Know podcast. It's a topical, fun podcast with Ryan, myself, and a guest, or guests, plural sometimes, and we tackle the most timely topics of the day. Give it a look, give it a listen, and subscribe. Thanks.
So the moral to this story is Robert can do whatever he wants because he's a high performer. When this stuff starts getting passed around to the company, including like young managers, super toxic. Basically what it tells them is that they can do a lot of these like glittering generality questions and have success. JLee, I'm gonna end this one with you. Probably the most important thing to this whole like leadership clickbait. Are you looking at the article, JLee?
Mm-hmm.
I'd like you to go up to the top for me, Mrs. Lee. And Robert is a dashing individual. What's your take on midnight blue jacket and maroon t-shirt underneath? Fan, no fan?
Oh, I'm not a fan. The colors don't work for me. It's a little patriotic, which is nice, but not screaming CEO of Compass. What happened is he was wearing jeans and that shirt, and someone was like, "Put a jacket on for this photo. You should put a jacket on."
And all they had was midnight blue.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Tim, you're more fashionable than me. Any closing comments on that?
Well, I mean, burgundy's an in color for 2020, 2021. So, I mean, he's on point with the burgundy. And, navy, I always like, to me, I wear a navy blazer usually with jeans as well, but it's always a weird kind of thing, right? Where you have how dark are your jeans compared to the blazer, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
Like it's not matching navies. You don't match. Right? You have to contrast them, which is a difficult thing. So, fashion point there. Don't try to match your navies.
Did you just roll out on us and tell us that burgundy was a power color for not only 1 year, but you gave me the whole 2020, 2021? Are we doing power colors for 2-year blocks now?
The pandemic is a lost year, so you can't really count that. Whatever the color was for the pandemic, you just kind of wiped it away and moved everything forward. So,
hey, why we're like talking about people's life work, let's do it again with a CHRO move of the week. Here we go. All right. So I went to JLee first. So Tim, I'm coming to you with this one. Snap used to be known as Snapchat. The old people would still call it Snapchat, but it's Snap. Has hired Darcy Henry, a longtime Amazon executive, as CHRO, reporting to Evan Spiegel, who's the founder and CEO of Snap. Why it matters? She became the third C-suite executive that Snap has poached from Amazon. Snap earlier hired Chief Business Officer Jeremy Gorman and Chief Financial Officer Derek Anderson from Amazon in 2018. Tim, Darcy Henry will lead Snap's talent acquisition and management programs, as well as the company's initiatives around diversity, equity, and inclusion, according to the press release, blah, 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 all of that. Here's what's interesting, Tim. So that's our CHRO move of the week. If you go down this, it's interesting when the big corporate people come into the startup world. They generally don't come in in the first round when there's tons of risk. They come in after the IPO and maybe even after the stabilization period of the IPO, which, hey, if you have the means, that's a great time to come in, correct?
Well, no, it's scale and operations, right? Like that point, that's it, because that's where all the startup kind of stuff starts to fall apart, because it's hard to hold that together without great operations and hard to scale to where now, all the investment people want you to do. So you have to bring in some heavy hitters, and she's one. But hey, kids, if you're sleeping on your HR career, understand this: she graduated in '93 with an English degree and went right into executive, basically recruiting. Learned how to recruit for a couple of years, got a recruiting job at Amazon, and then she moved all the way up to the point where she was in a very high level at Amazon, and now obviously CHRO over at Snap. It just shows you constantly people ask me how do you you have all these HR young graduates coming out, and they're like, I can't get an HR job. I can't get an HR job.
Go recruit.
Go recruit.
Yeah.
Go be a recruiter.
It's true.
Because you know what happens? Every big company will look at you and go, oh, I want to hire you then because you actually know how to recruit. And we have the hardest time ever finding great recruiters. And then once you get in a big company, you can move around. I mean, look at Jessica. She's had 14 VP titles.
So Jessica, building off Tim, when I was on the recruiting trail for recruiters over the last 2 to 3 weeks at Kinetics, just based on the boom, I heard from a couple of younger folks who were in recruiting, said they wanted to get in HR. Jessica, I told them, to Tim's point, keep doing what you're doing. You've got the best path. Keep becoming more valuable in recruiting, and you'll find a way in. Jessica, what do you think?
And it's not that hard to make the switch. Like, be good at what you do, and it doesn't matter. You want to switch over to HR, you want to switch over to something else. I mean, just keep at it and be good at what you're doing. By the way, another related CHRO move that has kind of a similar feel. There was a recent move of CHRO from Nordstrom over to Pinterest, and so another big brand, big operations moving to smaller. I mean, not necessarily startup, but like a tech company. And I'm fascinated by it because it's like that's a big move, going from like tens and thousands of people to like thousands.
Yeah.
And I don't know the history, but I'm assuming, has Pinterest done an IPO yet?
Oh, did they? I think they.
You guys can look that up for me.
You can buy. I'm pretty sure you can buy pins. Yeah, I think it's actually pins is their thing.
Got it. So, by the way, the article that was just announcing Darcy Henry to Snap also said that they had a big exodus after 2017. So kind of, those were the early round leaders. IPO goes, whatever lock-in period is in, they're out. Like, it worked out for them. In income, kind of the next round, right? The professional managers. So yep. I think it's cool. I do like, it's a really interesting point that she did recruiting and she ended up in HR. That's the path. It's hard. I think it's easier for a really good recruiter, to Jessica's point, to get into HR. You don't see a lot of moves for pure play HR people going to recruiting. Like, my opinion, Tim and JLee, is if you've got the DNA where you can recruit, you'll do just fine in the chaos of HR leadership. But people who maybe come up from the ranks, there's this book I read. It's called The 9 Faces of HR. Anyway,
tell us more.
It goes in to some of those things, available on Amazon.com. Okay, last but not least, I want to talk about this whole supply and demand thing going on in the world today related to, do we have enough workers? Is the stimulus package creating like problems for people? I like in the jump, I asked both of you about, hey, tell me the first electric vehicle you're going to buy. We talked a little bit about self-driving and all this stuff, and Toyota buying Lyft's self-driving technology. So the Verge reported about a month ago, I've seen articles about this, that, driver shortages are really crushing Uber and Lyft right now. So from the Verge, I'll read you a couple paragraphs. Uber and Lyft have a driver shortage problem. With the number of US-based drivers for both apps down around 40%, the two companies are pledging to spend hundreds of millions of dollars to lure people back into the driver's seat. Uber announced, this is about a month ago, but there's an uptick in news on this, but Uber announced about a month ago it was launching, JLee, a $250 million stimulus program for drivers in the hopes of speeding their return to the platform. The quote I'll give you from Dennis Sinelli is, in 2020, many drivers stopped driving because they couldn't count on getting enough trips to make it worth their time. In 2021, there are more riders requesting trips than there are drivers available to give them, making it a great time to be a driver. JLee, I read Lyft's doing a similar stimulus program. This is basically a hiring bonus 101. What do you see with the shortage of labor and how it's affecting not only full-time fills for folks like you and I, but also the gig market?
Well, so like the thing that's concerning here, and this is not just Uber, Lyft, this is the industry I'm in, this is industries that many are in, is that like if they cannot find people to fill these jobs or gigs, incentives are a lever to try, but like you're having to throttle back what you can offer from like a business perspective, right? Like we're not going to be able to find as many rides or ride providers, like if they can't find the drivers, and same thing is happening in hotels and same thing is happening in other businesses as well. So it's a little little, freaky. But I read Peter Capelli had this piece in HR Executive recently about, businesses complaining about not being able to find people because of the stimulus package and unemployment benefits. And it was interesting. He basically said, what do you expect? You got to stop complaining. Like, don't blame these workers. Don't blame the stimulus package. You broke trust with these people. They don't want to come work for you. Things are irreparable. So just fascinating, the different perspectives out there.
JLee, give me a little bit more on that. How did we break trust? Because that's a really big statement that I do not believe applies to the entire American economy. Was he talking about a segment? What was he talking about?
So I don't think he was very specific about a segment. Like the comment, I think, was rooted in the fact that you had to furlough people, you had to lay people off. You can't expect them to want to come back to work for you because you broke trust in them. They can't trust you that you're going to be a stable employer and that you're going to continue to treat them well if they do come back. So I think that's kind of the space he was going to, which maybe isn't like as relevant in the gig space, because should you have trust and loyalty in a gig provider? I don't know. But
you mentioned where you read that. Where's that at? Let's give them a shout out.
It is an HR Executive. Yeah, we can put it.
You read HR Executive?
Well, I get it in my inbox. I am in management.
Okay, so Tim Sackett, I'm going to bring you in. You are in management, JLee, and I will say you're a very effective leader. I know that. I know this about you. Tim Sackett, here's what I'll say to wind you up. There's this dichotomy between people who believe that things like the stimulus package have reduced the amount of workers and people that say that the scene is bigger than that and that's an excuse. I can't think of anything that would get the folks who believe that the issue is deeper than stimulus money to come to the table quicker, Tim Sackett, than them having to spend 40 minutes waiting on an Uber in one of the metro areas instead of 10 minutes. Tim Sackett, go.
No, I mean, we're naive and stupid to think that extended unemployment and stimulus doesn't have an impact. If all of us were given the option to go and be with our families and do whatever we wanted and basically get the same amount of money or more that we were getting, of course we're going to take that. Now, there's going to be studies that basically claim both ways, and you can believe what you want to believe. But I'm also in the camp, Kitty, that so it's September, the stimulus is supposed to be over, right? And so if this was the case, magically then in September, hiring is going to get so easy and all these people are going to go back to work and none of us will have a need. That's bullshit. Come September, it's still going to be super difficult and hard to find any hourly workers. It's still going to be very hard to fill our roles across every market. And so there's other issues that are also playing into this. By the way, do you remember pre-pandemic? I know it was a while ago, but it was super hard to hire hourly workers then. We already had ghosting problems. We already had all these issues. And this just makes it a little bit worse, but it's not going to go away. It's still going to be hard. So you know what? Any of these companies, we all got to get ready to pay more, right? So now my $25 Lyft ride to the airport is going to cost me $40 because they're just going to keep jacking the prices until I decide I'll have somebody else drop me off,
Hey, one redirect, JLee. I think the middle ground on all this, and it's included in a lot of the stuff you can read about Uber and Lyft drivers. First of all, it's a gig job. Second of all, rather than, and I'm not referring to you on this. I'm referring to the site from HR Executive and the expert. Rather than saying trust has been broken, there's some safety issues. Like people have concerns about being in confined cars for 8 to 10 hours at a time with people that they don't know. When we're not totally clear from this, and those effects are going to be lingering, I feel like it's irresponsible of that person just to say trust has been broken. I got to tell you, and JLee and Tim, you can come in. We had to furlough a few people at Kinetics. I made those calls. Both Shannon and I made those calls, 2 owners of a small to medium-sized business. We didn't get anyone who didn't understand. And we hired a lot of those people back. The other folks were able to get employed. I don't know that there's a huge trust issue because the world melted down with COVID.
So I've seen a few things. So on this thing about being confined in a car for 8 to 10 hours doing a job, whether it's being confined in a car or being on the front lines in a service type role, or, schlepping bags like at a hotel, like as a doorman. I just think in general, there are things that people are probably reconsidering in terms of attractiveness and safety of roles. And I don't think it's unique to just Uber and Lyft. I can fully buy into the idea that if you did spend the last 6, 9, 10, 12 months unemployed or choosing to take advantage of some of the benefits that you're receiving and not working, I mean, what do you want to go back to and do? Like, maybe you don't want to go back and drive an Uber. Maybe you don't want to go back and bag, groceries at the grocery store. Like, you're probably thinking about I want to make sure I'm going back to do something like that's going to make me happy-ish. So I think there's that. On the trust and loyalty piece, though, I do think that I've seen it and I've heard it, pockets of people who had so much belief and trust in their employer as being a provider, as being a safety network, of being something more than just an employer. And I think when there's that deep level of belief that this is my family, this is my whatever, that I'm not saying that it's smart or it makes sense, but I do think people have had to have a reality check around oh gosh, maybe I can't trust that employer or an employer to be all that to me, and a feeling of a sense of loss. I think that's a real thing out there.
I think that can be real as well. JLee, did Peter lead with trust? Was that the whole lead? Is that what the HR executive reporter pulled out from the article? Did he lead with trust? Because if he led with trust, I still think it's overblown. You're absolutely correct in what you're saying. But if you lead with trust, you say, well, it's trust. It's is it? I don't know. Well,
so I would say this is healthy in my mind though. Maybe this is cynical me, but I don't think people should look to their employer for all of that and therefore be so broken and a lack of trust as a result of all this. Maybe that wasn't healthy to look to your employer for that in your life. And so there's probably a rebalancing that's happening here. That's not a bad thing.
Hey, I'll get us out of here on what's really important. Tim Sackett, what is your Uber passenger rating?
Oh God, I haven't even looked at it for so long. Are you kidding me?
We'll call it 4.3. Jessica?
I think I'm in the 4.7 or 4.8. I tip well.
I'm 4.8, which basically means that 4 out of every 5 have to give you a 5 because you spotted up on him.
4.83.
He holds it to the camera to prove it. All right. Be safe out there. And Uber drivers, Lyft drivers, be safe. Give back. Get those bonuses. Get back in the workforce. For Tim Sackett, for Jessica Lee, I'm Chris Dunn. That's HR Famous for this week. Until next time.